Welcome back. In this video, we will explore the save responses to file listener, a very useful listener which helps in understanding why some of the responses failed. You can go ahead and save the result of those responses into separate files and investigate later what is the reason for the failure. I have the JMeter test plan from our previous demo where we have added the response time graph. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the save responses to file listener. So I'll right click the thread group, select add, go to listeners and select save response to file. Now in this listener, you can choose whether you want to save the successful responses or the failed responses. You do have a choice to select one of these or both. Here I'm going to go ahead and select save the successful responses for this demo purpose. You might not want to do this. You might want to save the failed responses in your case to understand why the request has failed. But for the demo purpose, I am going to go ahead and use save successful response only. Also, remember that if you are saving these responses and your test is generating a lot of samples, it's gonna occupy the disk space. So once you select what response you want to save, you need to specify where do you want to save those responses. One way is we can specify a relative path. The relative path is always relative to the bin folder of JMeter. That is, somewhere in this bin folder of JMeter, my responses will be saved. Instead, if I want, I can specify an absolute path as well. So here in my C drive, I'm going to create a new folder, say successful responses, and I want to use this folder for storing my responses. So I'll copy the path to this folder and paste it in JMeter. Now this is the location. We also need to specify a prefix file name. So we'll go ahead and specify. From here, I'm going to copy this path and go back to JMeter and paste the path in file name text box. We also need to specify a prefix for the file name. So the prefix, in my case, I'll specify it as response. Now let's go ahead and run our test one more time and see these responses getting generated. Ensure that you have the right permissions to this particular folder that you have specified here. Let's save the test and run it. Now let's go to the summary result. We can see all 200 samples were done. Now if we go to that folder, we can see the responses for all 200 of those samplers. So be careful when you have a test which is very large, generating a lot of samples. You might not want to save all of these responses. You might want to save only error responses.